I want to think about it just even from the person's perspective that's listened to us talk about this on multiple episodes and like they're ready to actually take action.
Yeah.
I think obviously people can reach out to you, Nolan, and talk about getting started to learn more and working together. But even let's talk about like the attorneys, the investment advisor. I think, as you're trying to build out this family office for yourself and really do things right, for most people, what comes to mind is, I would imagine, a network like, oh, well, I know so-and-so is an attorney, or, my wife's friend's husband is an attorney. I don't know.
Yeah.
Should I talk to him? Or same thing for the financial advisor. But then there's also, well, I guess I could just do a Google search.
Yeah.
Is there something, do you guys think that there's an issue with working with someone in these and having them in your family office? Is that the best approach, to have your best friend be the attorney in your family office? Or are you going to run into issues there? Is it kind of like hiring an employee who's a best friend? Is that really the best option for your friendship? And then if that's not the way to go, how do you actually vet someone and make sure that you feel comfortable with them to be able to actually hire them inside of your family office?
Those are absolutely great questions, and they are real ones that we face every day. Kind of taking those one by one. So my personal opinion when it comes to hiring, friends, family, things of that nature, I think if you're very early on and you're like, first 6 months, you're getting things going, right? I think there can be value in having someone, a family, someone close to you in your inner circle, like helping you with some of that stuff. I wouldn't tell you no on that, because at that point, they're kind of doing you a favor. But I think you need to understand that it's a favor that they're doing you. And I think we need to remember it as that, right? And as opposed to you can't go like, well, I asked my friend to do this a favor, and now I'm treating it like I hired him and I don't understand like why it's not perfect, right? Like that's the risk that you run into, I think, when you sort of pull in family members and friends. So long term, like I don't recommend it. I think it will more likely than not taint a relationship that is probably very important to you. And you have to ask yourself, is it worth losing the friendship over, saving $1,000 on an attorney or something like that? And I would say it probably isn't, right? It probably isn't. The question of vetting a professional is really hard, right? Because in a lot of cases, you're having to ask questions that you don't know the answer to, right? I mean, anytime you hire someone in an area outside of your expertise, it's very hard to know if the answers they're giving to you are real or, lies. We're inherently not good at telling when people are lying to us as human beings. There's a ton of studies on this. Like we don't know. We're not very good at it. But what I can tell you is the more people you talk to, you'll start to see more commonalities. So if you talk to so the worst thing you can do is talk to like one or two CPAs or attorneys. That's not going to do it, right? There's not enough of a population to sort of differentiate between them. But if you start talking to more of them, and I realize we don't always have time, and nor is talking to an accountant the most enjoyable thing in the world. I will fully acknowledge that. It's not how you probably want to spend your free time. But if you can talk to more of them, and what you'll find is that they will you'll see things that are linked between them. They will, maybe 3 of the 5 you talk to will mention this one thing. Okay, well what is that? Maybe there's some value in that. And then maybe all of them talk about this one thing. And what you'll start to see is enough of a commonality or expertise amongst them, or the ones that don't talk about those, that you can start to rule out or rule in or narrow down the ones that are the best fit for you. The other thing I would say is you do have to sort of I don't necessarily believe in just trusting your gut all the time, because I think our gut can lead us astray, but you do have to have a good working relationship with these people. And so it is important to factor in, like, how do you get along with them? Like I was listening to one of your podcasts recently about expectations, and they were talking about like sort of like defining like how I work. I thought this was a really great thing about like really just like, if it's a quick question, text me and that sort of thing. And so understanding like, how does this person want to be communicated with? And does that align with how I want to be communicated with? Like, is my expectation with this person that they're going to respond to my emails after I'm done with my day? So I want responses between 5 and 9 at night. Okay, well, ask that question. Like, get to know, like, make sure you're asking the questions that are going to help you determine not just their competency, but how well you're going to work together. They could be the smartest accountant or legal professional in the world, but if you don't get along with them, it's going to be a terrible relationship, right? So that you have to sort of factor in sort of that piece as well. The other thing too is you can have other people vet them for you. Like if you have an attorney, if your brother-in-law is an attorney and you're like, hey, would you mind talking to this person, or would you mind reviewing what this person told me and see what they think? Like, that's a good way to leverage the relationship you have while also getting someone who isn't your brother-in-law to do that work for you.
Yeah. I think it's a difficult thing for people that don't feel comfortable talking to people they don't know to do. And I think that's usually the challenge, is that they're like, they'll get through the one conversation and they're like, I spent so much time on that. I don't feel comfortable because I don't know any of this stuff. I'm just going to go with that person. But you really do have to have multiple conversations with people. And that's like the value of also being in networking groups, because you can meet people through that. And it is a more natural conversation than feeling like you're on a sales call. Because that's not a comfortable place to meet somebody.
No.
When you like, yeah, tell me about your services. That's not always the easiest thing. And so that's why I always advise people to be in some sort of network peer group where they can make introductions more naturally, that aren't going to be the family member or the friend, but somebody they can hire, that, they can hold accountable, and they're purchasing a service. It's a normal transaction, but also there's a level of trust because of the referral, because of the experience they've had with other people that stuff like that.
I'd like to add one thing to it that I ask people to do. If you're doing that 3 months, I'm going to get an attorney lined out. That's my project for this quarter. And I'm going to get a marketing guy in the next quarter, and I'm going to get a bookkeeper. Actually, that's first. Absolutely. Your books have to be first before anything else. It's the foundation. But there's another way to do it. You can go on YouTube and say, what do I need to know about a deal attorney? What's involved in a business? It's free. You can go to webinars, you can buy books on the subject. And over a period of 3 months, at the end of 3 months, you will be a different person than you were at the beginning of 3 months. And it costs you 0.0 in dollars.
No, that's a great point.
That's a place to start. Look for articles on it. What do I need to know about forming a partnership? What can Chat GPT? What could possibly go wrong with a partnership and a contractor in Norman, Oklahoma? And ask it to refine it about 5 times, and you'll have the names of the guys you better not do business with, right? So once you set your focus on something, there are just myriad ways. But I do like, Khalil, the networking and the referrals, and join a mastermind. Join a mastermind and with experienced people, and go with specific questions that are focused on what you're working on that quarter. And
so just to emphasize that, so I'm in a networking group. It's not meant to like generate leads, although it does. Like I'm honestly in there simply because I want to meet other professionals in other areas that I can refer people to, and they're all over the country. But I will go and I'll meet with attorneys. I'm meeting with one next week who his sole job is to connect people to other attorneys, and so I'm meeting with him. And one of the things, and I even do it to meet other bookkeepers, because sometimes it's like, hey, maybe I work all over the country. I have clients like in all the time zones. But maybe someone wants someone local. I'd love to be able to refer to someone in Bethesda, Maryland, be like, hey, here's someone here who does local bookkeeping. Like, maybe you go check them out. I am a huge believer in being able to give someone some piece of answer that they can take forward with them, even if it's not me, because there's so much value and so much misinformation out there. And so being in a networking group is so important to just expanding your horizons and getting other perspectives on other aspects of the business. It's a huge benefit.